I'm going to make a soap that is a mixture of 7 different natural clay colors. They'll be more or less sunset colors, but with green also from French green clay. And then for fragrance, it's going to be a very citrusy scent, a blend of about half and half. Nature's Garden brand blood orange fragrance oil and Brambleberry's kumquat fragrance oil. Both of those have very nice scents, and they are both very well behaved in cold process soap. They don't accelerate much, if at all, in such a soap, so I like them. As usual, I have my oils slightly above room temperature, but not really very warm, and then my lye water is also just above room temperature. And I'm going to blend these to emulsion. Hopefully this is going to be a fairly slow-moving soap. It is coconut oil, olive oil, which should slow it down, lard, which is also fairly slow, and tallow, which I wouldn't call slow, but it's certainly not an accelerator of trace compared to something like palm oil or palm kernel oil. That's at a nice emulsion without any noticeable thickening yet. So I'm going to distribute that batter now among my 7 clay colors. So this one is Brazilian purple, this one is Brazilian gold. This one is warm adobe. I forget what that one is. Oh, that's a mixture of French red clay and dark red Brazilian clay. And then this one is French green clay. This one is French rose clay, which should end up being a nice pink. And then the last one is Australian red reef clay mixed with some white kaolin. That should give a nice dark red. And as often happens, these are really thin, so I'm going to blend them a little more. So I'm going to go red, green, purple, pink, kind of adobe, orange, and yellow. I may change that. Yeah, I'm going to trade these to put the purple in there so we get more contrast. I think that's good. So here's my elderberry mold. It has a silicone liner in it. And for this soap, I'm just going to kind of zigzag the stripes over and over to get a good mixture of colors here. This is not the corner pour that I so often do. not doing these in any particular pattern other than to try not to go exactly in the same spot I did last time. So that was round one. For the second one, I think I'll stripe the other way. I'm kind of making this up as I go. I'll do that one diagonally. Why not? I've used a little more than half the batter now. I'm going to use about half of what I've got left on this round. Oops. I was going to swirl this with a chopstick, but it's making such a complicated pattern as it is that I think I'll probably end up not even bothering to swirl this. Just the pouring is accomplishing that. I'm liking what I see so far. I've got this high enough that it's probably sinking in half an inch to an inch, but it's not going to the bottom of the mold anymore from this height. Saving just a little bit of the dregs there. Even though I used a lot of different clays, I used about the same amount in each of these containers. There's about a teaspoon in each one. So the overall clay concentration shouldn't vary much from stripe to stripe. I'm not sure how important that is, but I did it. So this is my second to last round. I'll finish them up on the next one. This mold won't be full when I'm done because the plastic dividers that separate the 18 bars are not as high as the mold itself. And I certainly don't want the batter to run over those dividers. batter is still really liquid. It's just, I don't think it's even a minimal trace at this point. That's fine. It's not mixing too much in the mold. It's certainly easy to pour. A tiny bit of red left here, which I think would make a nice contrast. Okay, that's it. I like that. I think that's going to be very interesting with no swirling at all. So what I'm going to do now is take the mold dividers, and sometimes one of them's a little crooked, so you have to bend it just a bit to be sure you get truly rectangular bars. That looks pretty good. And then drop that in carefully. Push it to the bottom. And as hopefully you can see, the soap comes almost to the top of the divider bars, but not quite. So we'll get a good dividing of the bars there. Here is the poured soap. I think it looks quite good. I'm going to put the wooden lid on it now. When you use the silicone liner, you have to turn the lid upside down, and it just fits flat over the top. And then I'll cover that with insulation. I'm going to use some old wool sweaters just to allow it to get hot and gel. Because these are clay colors, I really want them to gel because that'll make the colors pop out more. There it is with the wooden lid on top, upside down, and now I will insulate that with sweaters. And this is my insulated package. I have 5 old wool sweaters piled on top here, and that should hold the heat in. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the mold itself is sitting on 2 thick sections of newspaper to serve as bottom insulation, because I want it to get as warm in there as it will. Here is the finished soap a day later. It's pretty hard right now, so I think it's ready to dump out. The nice thing about this silicone liner is that it's really easy to get it loose from the soap. Once you break the seal, it just comes right off. The bottom is certainly pretty. This is the bottom side, the side that faced the mold. I'm trying to unmold this now. Sometimes it's easier to remove the dividers, and sometimes it's easier just to push out the individual soaps. I think that's what I'm going to do this time. These are still going to need some beveling and trimming once they've hardened up a bit more, but here they are, fresh out of the mold. I'm liking that look. It's pretty much a random pattern. That's the bottom, that's the top. Top of that one. It's kind of a nice random, I think.